greetings. Today we're going to talk about a few very important subjects that happened in the world earlier on. The first one we're going to talk about is the penguin found in Brussels. The second one is the disappearing of famous buildings all over the world. The third one is the goat, pretty much a goat. The fourth one is Leonardo DiCaprio, who has to turn in his Oscar. We're now heading over to our reporter, Manon Engels.
There's a remarkable report made by a Dutchman. He says he has seen a penguin in Buurs, a small town in the east of the Netherlands. The man was walking his dog the other morning when he suddenly saw something weird in the water. He decided to take a closer look, and by his surprise he recognized the penguin. The man called the animal rescue service, who didn't believe him at first. After the man sent them this picture, they decided to take a look. When they arrived, they indeed saw a penguin, so they took him to the animal shelter. The penguin is in good conditions and maybe a little hungry due to the lack of fish in this area. They are now trying to discover where he is from and maybe send him back home. But the question is, of course, how does a penguin come here? At first, scientists said it was because of the global warming. The penguin was taken by a flood of meltwater. It took him all the way from the South Atlantic Ocean to the North Atlantic Ocean. After that, he probably swam through a lot of rivers. Eventually, it ended up in the Buurs stream. The investigators aren't sure yet, but they know that the penguin had at least a great adventure.
A new kind of situation that has never had anything like this before. It's kind of unreal to think right now, but a lot of different famous and massive buildings have completely disappeared. We have no clue where they went or who or what took them. People from the cities and the countries and just people all around the world are very amazed by the idea that those massive buildings are completely gone. Since they are massive, they're really huge and tall, and we're talking about Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, you name them. There are a lot. There are 7 in total. And civilians of the cities are very, very confused since they walk past it and don't even notice it anymore since it's so familiar. They look through, they see it every day. A lot of tourists are very scared who are in the place, but it's kind of really strange that the people from the cities aren't really scared since they see it as kind of a joke. We have no idea who took them, and we still have to wait until the police departments of these various cities will release any new material. There are a lot of investigators put on this case, so we will find out as soon as possible since it's kind of a massive thing around the globe. We will keep you updated as much as we can, and we will see you soon.
A drunk man has stolen his neighbor's goat last night. The man started drinking on his own yesterday evening and got drunk. At midnight, the neighbor heard some really strange sounds in his backyard and decided to take a look. He saw nothing, which might not seem strange, but it was. Because normally his goat was there and now it had disappeared. The man was very surprised at first and thought that the goat maybe escaped and had run away, so he decided to start searching for it. He was searching the goat for almost 2 hours before he would return home and call the police the next morning. On his way home, he walked past his neighbor's house and saw that the lights were still on. The man thought by himself, maybe my neighbor has seen it, so he knocked on the door. There was no response. A couple minutes later, he knocked again and heard some weird noise. It almost sounded like crying. The man knocked once again, and this time he heard someone walking to the door. When the door opened, he saw his neighbor Peter standing there, and he was crying. The man thought it was kind of strange and inappropriate of him to disturb his neighbor at this time. The man apologized and asked Peter what was wrong. Peter, who hadn't said a thing this whole time, started crying harder and said sorry to the man. The man asked Peter why he said sorry, and Peter told the man that when he was little he always wanted a goat, but his parents didn't let him have one, and that he was really upset about it. And tonight he saw the goat standing there all alone, and Peter felt so much sympathy for it that he went to the goat and took it home with him. But then Peter saw his neighbor searching for the goat and realized that he had made a huge mistake, and that he would return the goat home by morning. The man who had listened to the story started laughing and told Peter that everything was fine and that he only had to give the man his goat back. So Peter did, and everybody was happy again. Peter promised that he would never steal the goat again, and the man went home with his goat. The next morning the man wrote Peter's story down on his Facebook page, and the story went viral. In the end, people bought a goat and gave it to Peter. Peter told the KMB reporters that it was the best present he ever got and that he and the goat were very happy together now.
A famous actor most of us are familiar with had achieved something the internet has been bullying Leonardo DiCaprio about for a very, very long time. In January 2016, he finally won his first Oscar ever. But now, 4 years later, it turns out it wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio who won the Oscar. The Academy Awards requested Leo to turn in the Oscar, and that caused a lot of confusion for both Leonardo DiCaprio and the people interested in him. The Academy doesn't know how this happened, and they apologized to Leonardo DiCaprio earlier on. Leonardo hasn't replied to any of this new information yet, and the Academy Awards hasn't told KMB a lot more either. Just the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't the one who won the Oscar. We will keep you updated.
Thanks for watching KMB News, and we see you tomorrow, same time, same place.